Hello, grade 11. Welcome to Physical Science. Today is week 7, or today is the week 7 discussion in our lessons in Physical Science. Again, I'm your teacher, Ma'am G of Santa Rosa National High School, and we will discuss our lesson for this week. Before we start, let's have here the different MELCs, or the most essential learning competencies. At the end of the lesson, you will be able to describe the sources of energy, give brief summary on how energy is produced from different sources, differentiate between renewable and non-renewable sources of energy, and outline the pros and cons of the different sources of energy. In contemporary times, energy sources primarily refer to the wide variety of fossil fuels or of fuels used for either heating, generation of electricity, or any other energy conversion processes. You may have even learned in your previous grades that there are several forms of energy. There is one that comes from falling or moving water. Two others rely on the heat coming from the sun and the internal heat of the earth. Indeed, there are many forms of energy. Are you ready to dive deeper into stuff about energy sources? So come on, let's go. Have you once imagined being the president of our country? So imagine that you were the president of the country. And let's see, how are you going to manage it? What are you going to do if you were the president of our country? The topic is demands on energy sources. Problem. Like many countries in the world, the Philippines confronts compound challenges of exponential population growth and rising energy demands. If you are the president of the country, how would you solve the problem? So, the sentence goes like this. If I were the president of the Philippines, what will you do to tackle this problem? So this will be your performance task for this week. Okay, so take note of this one. Energy sources. There are many forms of energy that exist. These energy sources can be classified into renewable sources and non-renewable sources. So when we say renewable sources, these are produced from sources that do not deplete or can be replenished within a human's lifetime. So, are replenished naturally over a short time. The most common examples include wind, solar, geothermal, biomass, and hydropower. So, take note that renewable energy sources are replenished naturally over a short period of time. Next, we also have here non-renewable sources. These are natural resources that cannot be readily replaced by natural means at a quick enough pace to keep up with consumption. Or simply, these are energy sources, or the energy source will run out of supply once consumed because they are only present in limited amount. Not just like in the renewable sources can replenish naturally over short of time, can replace naturally over a short period of time. But dito sa non-renewable sources, energy source will run out of supply once consumed because they are only present in limited amounts. So there are different renewable resources. So first, we have here the geothermal energy. As we all know, geothermal energy is produced by the heat of Earth's molten interior. So geothermal energy is the energy harnessed from beneath the Earth. Energy produced by the heat of Earth's internal or interior. heat of Earth's molten interior. So, as we can see dito sa geothermal energy, there is a high temperature inside the Earth's crust caused by the slow delay of radioactive particles. Groundwater will be heated up by the hot rock, which will later produce steam. The steam moves the turbine. The rotating turbines run the generator. So as you can see, groundwater will be heated up because of the high temperature inside the Earth's crust, and the groundwater that is heated will produce steam. Then this steam will move the turbines, and the turbines will run the generator. Okay? So geothermal power utilizes the heat energy from the Earth's crust. This heat energy heats up rocks, which in turn heats up nearby groundwater. Take note that geothermal energy, it is clean, sustainable, and environment friendly. The problem with this is it can only be produced at selected sites worldwide. So, selected areas lang yung sa matatagpuan ang geothermal energy. Geothermal energy, some of the operational geothermal power plants in the Philippines. So we have here different geothermal power plants. Take note that the geothermal energy is only limited into some areas. We can find it in some selected areas only. So these are some of the geothermal power plants in the Philippines that are working. So we have here the Malibara Geothermal Power Plant in Santo Tomas, Batangas, Macban, and Macban Binary Geothermal Power Plant in Albay, Laguna, Tiwi Geothermal Power Plant in Tiwi, Albay, Bacon Manito Geothermal Power Plant in Sorsogon, Unified, Leyte, Tungonan Geothermal Power Plant in Leyte, Southern Negros Geothermal Production Field, Nasolo Geothermal Power Plant, and Palimpinon Geothermal Power Plant in Valencia, Negros Occidental. So, some of the places that this geothermal energy can be found is in Santo Tomas, Batangas. We have Bay Laguna, Tiwi Albay, Sorsogon, Leyte, and Negros Occidental. The Malitbog Geothermal Power Station is a 232.5 megawatts geothermal power plant or an earth steam turbine electric generator. So this is considered as the world's largest geothermal power plant under one roof located in Malitbog, Cananga, Leyte, Philippines. The power plant is one of the 4 operating in Leyte geothermal production field. So see, Malitbog Geothermal Power Station or power plant has the world's largest geothermal power plant under one roof. It's located in our country, Cananga, Leyte, Philippines. The largest group of geothermal power plant in the world is located at the Geysers, a geothermal field in California, United States. So, ito naman yung largest group of geothermal power plant in the world. Okay? In the Philippines, some of the power plants include Makiling Banahaw Power Plant in Laguna, Leyte Geothermal Power Plant in Leyte, and Tiwi Geothermal Power Plant in Tiwi, Albay. So again, this is geothermal energy. Take note, the groundwater is heated by the internal heat of the earth. Then the groundwater will produce steam. The steam will move the turbine, and the turbine will work or will move the generator. We also have here the hydroelectric energy. So hydroelectric power is derived from the energy of falling or moving water to generate electricity. Among other purposes, water is widely used to produce electricity. Hydropower is proven, mature, predictable, and price-competitive technology. A number of on- and off-grid hydropower plants have been built throughout the country, including impounding dams and run-of river types. Impounding dams are able to supply energy during peak and off-peak hours, while run-of river types supply electricity whenever capable, depending on the volume of water that is discharged from the watershed. So this one is a sample of renewable hydroelectric energy process. So a turbine converts the kinetic energy of falling water into mechanical energy. Then a generator converts the mechanical energy from the turbine into electrical energy. The generator power is stepped up to a higher voltage from the substation and then exported for transmission. So that one is the hydroelectric energy. Hydroelectric energy operational power plants in the Philippines are, we have here the Palakpakin Hydroelectric Power Plant in San Pablo, Laguna. Balugbog Power Plant in Narcarlan, Laguna. And Katingas Hydroelectric Power Plant in San Fernando, Romblon. So, again, this one is the hydroelectric energy. We also have here the wind energy. Wind energy or wind power describes the process by which wind is used to generate electricity. While an electric fan uses electricity to produce wind, a wind turbine uses wind to produce electricity. So the wind energy is also a type of solar energy. Take note of that. The wind energy is also a type of solar energy. A form of solar energy in the sense that they can cause by an even heating of the atmosphere which comes from the sun, the irregularities of the Earth's surface, and the rotation of the Earth. So that one is wind energy. The wind turbine can generate megawatts of power depending on the weather conditions. In fact, an indicator for a potential wind farm site is the presence of flagging trees or trees that are bent like how a flag would look like due to strong winds, because winds are the source of wind energy. Because of the vast land area a wind farm occupies, unused areas can be co-located with agricultural crops or even a solar farm. So let's go to the process of wind energy. A turbine converts the kinetic energy of falling of the wind. Then the generator converts the mechanical energy from the turbine into electrical energy. The generator power is stepped up to a higher voltage from the substation and then exported for transmission. So, the turbine converts the kinetic energy from the wind into mechanical energy. Then, a generator converts the mechanical energy from the turbine into electrical energy. The generator power is stepped up to a higher voltage from the substation and then exported for the transmission. So wind has been used in centuries to move ships and pump water. Wind turbines are installed in strategic locations to harness the mechanical energy from wind. Some of the most recent developments are the Bangi Wind Farm, Bungus Wind Farm, and Caparispisan Wind Farm o in Ilocos Norte. the wind energy power system in Oriental Mindoro, San Lorenzo Wind Farm in Guimaras, Navas Wind Farm in Aklan, and Pilila Wind Farm in Rizal. So see, we also have here the famous windmill in Ilocos Norte, found in Bangui, Burgos, and Caparis-Pisan. So that one is wind energy. Next, we have here the solar energy or solar cells. So these are devices that are made up of elemental silicon. Photovoltaic cells or solar cells convert sunlight into electricity. Light energy is collected over these panels. The collected energy can be stored in battery or can be directly converted to electrical energy. So this one is a sample. With the recent technology, solar power systems can be both applied to on- and off-grid areas. Aggressive economic growth for the country is not far behind. As long as there is sunlight, solar power will always be available. Solar power technology may not generate energy at night, but it is capable of supplying electricity to the grid at daytime. A solar cell or photovoltaic cell is an electrical device that converts the energy of light directly into electricity by the photovoltaic effect, which is a physical and chemical phenomenon. It is a form of photoelectric cell defined as a device whose electrical characteristics such as current, voltage, or resistance vary when exposed to light. Individual solar cells devices are often the electrical building blocks of photovoltaic modules known as colloquially as solar panels. So the solar energy, some of the power plants in the Philippines are the Lilian Solar Power Project and Catalagan Solar Project in Calatagan, Batangas. Cavite Economic Zone Solar Power Project in Rosario, and General Trias Cavite CW Home Depot Solar Power Project, and Central Mall Binyan Solar Power Plant in Binyan City, Laguna. Solar energy is also known as the people's power, referring to the easy deployment of solar panels and the introduction of community solar gardens, where energy is shared among owners. So solar energy is abundant, requires low maintenance, and is environmentally friendly. Emissions associated with manufacture of solar panels are present, but minimal compared to pollution caused by burning fuels. Two of the harmful emissions from the manufacture of solar panels are nitrogen trifluoride and sulfur hexafluoride. Both are potent greenhouse gases. So some disadvantage of solar energy are, so it's this one, it is expensive, requires rare metals, and requires good amount of space. Thankfully, the technology is continuously improving. We also have here the biomass. The biomass refers to organic matter from plants and animals or microorganisms. Organic waste such as crop remains, manure, and garbage, usually left or rot, can be used for electricity generation. Rice husks and bagas are burned as fuel to boil water. The steam from the boiling water is used to run turbines, which in turn drives generator to produce electricity. So this uses organic material like crops, plants, trees, yards, clipping, wood chips, and animal waste, and is commonly used throughout the world. Take note, these materials are burned to generate heat. The heat produced can be directly used to do daily chores like cooking food, boiling water. By burning the biomass in a boiler, the generated heat is used to produce steam, which drives the turbines to produce electricity. One of its issues is that it produces a large amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This causes air pollution. So we have here three major forms of biomass energy. We have the solid biomass, liquid fuel, and gaseous fuel. So these are some of the materials used for biomass. Wood is also a biomass fuel. As long as we replenish the trees that we cut, biomass can be sustainable energy source. Biomass is used to create methane and alcohol, which are fuels used in energy production and in powering automobiles. Production of biogas or biofuels involves the action of microorganisms that break down organic matter in a multi-step process. Technologies utilizing biomass are continuously evolving in order to improve efficiency. Fossil fuel. So fossil fuels are general term used to refer to the combustible products of buried organic matter, which underwent partial decomposition under extreme temperature and pressure. There are three major forms of fossil fuel. We have the coal, oil, and natural gas. All three were formed many million years ago during the times of so-called dinosaurs. The components of fossil fuels are heated and vaporized to steam, which drives the turbines and generate electricity. So we have here the oil, coal, and the natural gas. So take note that oil is a liquid fossil fuel that is formed from the remains of marine organisms deposited on the seafloor. So that one is oil. So examples are, since oil is most widely used as fuel, before it can be used, the petroleum or crude oil must be changed or refined into other products. At oil refineries, crude thick black oil is split into various types of products through heating. These products include gasoline, diesel fuel, aviation fuel, propane gas, ship oil, oil to burn in power plants to make electricity. Next, we also have here the natural gas. So natural gas is lighter than air, and it is mostly made up of highly flammable gas called methane. So take note that methane is a simple chemical compound made up of carbon and hydrogen atoms. Natural gas is a gaseous fossil fuel that is versatile, abundant, and relatively clean compared to coal and oil. So natural gas reserves are more evenly distributed around the globe than oil supply. We also have here coal. Coal is a solid fossil fuel formed over millions of years of decay of land vegetation. When layers are compacted and heated over time, deposits are turned into coal. So coal is quite abundant compared to the other two fossil fuels. Coal is usually extracted in mines. Many developing countries depend on coal for energy provision because they cannot afford oil or natural gas. So meaning the coal is the most cheapest fossil fuel than the two fossil fuels. So however, fossil fuel is known to pollute the environment. In reservoir, it is limited and will last for 100 years. So again, oil is a liquid fossil fuel. Natural gas is lighter than the air, which is made up of flammable gas. And coal is a solid fuel, fossil fuel. So coal is the world's largest and most abundant fossil fuel. So it is relatively inexpensive and is readily available. The formation of fossil fuels is due to a series of geologic processes where the remains of organic life are accumulated in the ocean bottom and buried to eventually become part of geosphere. They are buried to depths, having high temperature and pressure, where they are converted to oil, natural gas, or coal. In the Philippines, around 69% of our electricity is derived from fossil fuel. In the world, around 75% of our energy is generated by combustion of fossil fuels. So power plants burn fossil fuels, and the heat generated during this process is used to turn water into steam, and this turns the turbines to generate all the needs of electricity worldwide. Next, we have here the electrochemical. So electrochemical, a battery is a device that stores chemical energy and converts it to electrical energy. The chemical reaction in a battery involves the flow of electrons from one material to another through an external circuit. The flow of electrons provide an electric current that can be used to do work. There are three main components of a battery. We have two terminals made up of different chemicals. Typically, we have the anode, cathode, and we have the electrolyte. Okay, which separates these terminals? The electrolyte is a chemical medium that allows the flow of electrical charge between the cathode and the anode. So batteries, compared to other sources, have low intensity, but they are common since they are portable and efficient. So for example, this one is the battery. We have the positive, negative. We call this one as the electrodes, and the center of it, that one is the electrolyte. Okay, again, so for example, this one is a battery. So this one is positive. This one is negative, and the center of it, we call this one as electrolyte. So this one is cathode and this one is anode. So yung dalawa, tinatawag natin itong electrode. The center of it, we call that one as electrolyte. Okay, so that's it. So if you have no other questions, proceed to your performance task and upload it in the teachment. Goodbye, grade 11.